Story 1. Am I the a-hole for not giving my ex the lingerie he bought me back? My boyfriend, 24 male, and I, 22 female, were together for 2.5 years. I broke up with him 2 months ago. There's still a lot of love, but I didn't like how he was treating me, amongst other things. We haven't been strictly any contact, but I have told him multiple times I don't want to talk or try friends for a while. Every week he contacts me for one reason or another and ends up asking to have a conversation about why we broke up and why I didn't tell him that he was being a jerk, saying I didn't give us a fair chance. He usually asks to meet in person and we talk for at least an hour or two. I feel like I've already said everything and I get so depressed after these big talks, it's just exhausting. Anyways, that's the dynamic. I'm trying to move on and have him not be in my life. He keeps dragging me back. So, he bought me some lingerie from Shine a month or two before the breakup. In his recent string of emails, he asked to talk and then asked for the lingerie back because he bought it so I'd wear it for him only. I responded, I'll throw them away, and he responded, why the F have you not thrown them away already? You already used them, huh? Which feels kind of weird to say. Then he said he doesn't trust that I'll throw it away because his ex was always lying. I told him I'm not comfortable with that and I'll throw it away. He just said he didn't trust me not to wear it and told me to meet him outside of class and give it back to him. I don't think I'm going to. The idea of giving it back to him makes me uncomfortable and I don't want to. This whole situation is starting to creep me out, and the fact that he's called me a couple of times on an unlisted number is also weirding me out. So on one hand, he keeps trying to be like, come on, let's talk, let's get back together, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was being a jerk. And then he's also like, I don't trust you at all. Give me back that gift that I gave you because I don't want you wearing it for anybody else because that's how gifts work. He's gotta realize, oh man, buddy, you need to do a little bit of growing up. You buy someone a gift when you're in a relationship, and once you've broken up, what they do with it, that's a whole nother thing. I'm certain there are some exceptions out there that people could come up with, and probably will in the comments. Go right ahead. They exist, I'm sure, but this is not one of them. If you buy someone lingerie because you wanted to see him in it, no, I'm sorry. You don't get to be like, give it back. No, grow up. Get over it. Story 2. I attended a Halloween event and realized I need to divorce my husband. I think I need to divorce my husband. He did something pretty unforgivable. It happened 4 years ago, but I just found out about it. We've been together for over 12 years, married too. Well, I happened to see my niece at this event and of course stopped and chit-chatted with her. It somehow led to a whole thing where she finally told me later on the phone about something from a few years back. My husband made intimate advances toward her, a young adult at the time, and received oral favors from those advances at least twice. He tried for more and was turned down. Looking back, it was a very hyper-intimate time for him for some reason. He was also smoking a lot, which is probably related since that was part of him coercing oral from her. We have 3 young children. I haven't told him I know yet. He's at work until this evening. My world is about to implode, and I have to keep it together for my kids. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't know how to have this conversation. The housing market is upside down, and our rental is the last affordable one in the state, to be honest. I can't move out into anything better with my kids, and I'm not moving out without them. Honestly, if it were just a random person, I could probably find it in me to move past it, but this betrayal isn't random. He's known her since she was 15. What do I do? I wish I knew about it then because it would be so much easier to leave over something recent and so much harder for him to deny like I know he will. He tells me all the time, I don't deserve you. How do I tell him he's right? Oh, that is a really tough situation because, yeah, you haven't had a chance to prepare money and finances for moving out on your own. You have been a stay-at-home mom because you've got 3 kids, while he's provided and stuff, but you've been providing for the house, and that's where things like child support and all that come in, but it is not going to be a great process. It's going to be absolutely miserable. Most divorces, even some of the better ones, are not great, but to be going through it in the situation that this person is in really breaks my heart, and All I can say is, folks, if you find yourself in a situation like this, reach out to everyone that you can trust, friends, family, build a support network. Because unfortunately, when you're just reliant on your significant other, that makes it hard to get out of a relationship if something like this happens. And so make sure that you've got those friends and family. And as tough as it might be, and as much as you might be asking of them, I think most of them are going to be more than willing to give of themselves to make sure this person's provided for, or at least I really hope that's the case. Story 3. Today I effed up by drinking too much and cheating on my girlfriend. I, 28 male, went out 5 months ago with a few new coworkers to drink. I got more drunk than I've ever been in my life and went home with who I thought at the time was my girlfriend. It wasn't until the oral intercourse that I realized it wasn't my girlfriend, but instead my coworker. At the time, I was still new at my job, so we didn't know each other too well. The person who I had gone home with was not aware that I was in a relationship. Although I feel slightly disgusted, I couldn't bring myself to completely blame her. As soon as I realized that it wasn't my girlfriend, I pushed her off and I left. Since I was confused and worried that I would lose my relationship with my then girlfriend, 25 female, I wanted some time to think, and I didn't let her know immediately. She's the love of my life. I always emphasize that a relationship between two people requires teamwork and has to always have open communication. This time, however, I was so worried about losing this relationship, and I also was conflicted internally about this, that I waited until today, 5 months after the event happened, to tell her about it. When I told her, she broke down crying. She thought about it for a while and decided that because it had taken me so long to tell her about it, she felt like everything since the event had made the relationship feel like a lie and found it hard to trust me after. She has called everything else within the relationship into question. While I do think I've made the right decision morally and I don't completely regret what I've done, it almost feels like I shouldn't have said anything. Broke it off and I feel like I'm now at rock bottom. I'm finding it hard to communicate with friends because many of them are within the same circle of friends. Boy, I am usually extremely hard on cheaters on this channel. And I'm not exactly going to be gentle with you, but more because of your mistake in hesitating to be open and communicate. If it truly was an accident, as you've said, which, I mean, you did choose to drink how you drank, and so you're not without any blame here. But if this truly was an accident, like you said, yeah, you should have talked about that right away, as scary as it is, and as much as you were afraid, that it might hurt your relationship. Like, you, like you said, open communication is important, and unfortunately, not saying anything for that amount of time, yeah, I don't blame her for taking the path that she took, breaking things off. Like, you were lying for 5 months, and yeah, I don't have any greater advice than, it may be rock bottom, but you can build things back. Maybe over time she'll want to work with you again and try and understand. Maybe she won't. You've just got to do your best going forward. Story 4. I signed my toxic boss up for therapy not once, but multiple times. Okay, a bit of backstory. I went through a really rough time working for my female boss and her wife. They had been married for some time, and my direct boss was the masculine partner. Emotionally, this job left me pretty rough. I felt very gaslighted, and it took me some time to apply to new jobs just because I defined my value and my personal worth by the actions and the words spoken to me. For some context, there were a lot of racist connotations, and there were many times that, based on my performance, I was excluded from team gatherings, lunches, and dinner. I didn't mind at first and thought perhaps a couple of us had to stay in the office and settle the clients that may reach out, and next time we would swap. However, that never happened. Other than this, there were several inappropriate instances that made me uncomfortable, along with conversations about dogs and how they can see ghosts, and how dogs are in particular fearful of people who may have a darker skin tone. With the CEO directly saying, "Yeah, my dog always barks more when there are Indians around," because the point I had a really big sale come in and it would have really saved the company, and I was drafting the contract. Unfortunately, between the back and forth, my then boss said the terms the client would like to amend are not acceptable, and because of this, the client decided to request for a $100,000 refund. My boss, of course, when I got the deal, was super happy, told me I can work from home, take time off, etc., completely love-bombing, and the moment she wouldn't amend the details to close the deal, it turned into my incompetence and my lack of ability. She called me into her office to tell me that she's seen my paychecks from jobs before, and she knows this commission would be a big deal to me. She can consider giving it to me irregardless, but it's unlikely since I could not secure the deal. I felt quite disappointed because this was not in my control, as it neared the end of my probation, she had put me on PIP. Around 2 days after, she had told me that it would be best if I resign, as I'm not a good fit. Well, we could take the high road, and we have, but there's one part I left out. I had an injury at work, and it caused me to have a concussion. Turns out, she never got insurance for me, although it's a requirement as an employee. With almost a year of back and forth, she still speaks ill and tells me that I can only email her once I have all the details from the incident which have been provided. Rest assured, I've been non-receptive to her bullying, but she will be getting quite a number of calls from local therapists and psychiatrists, as she would be keen to know more about the counseling options they have for someone who lacks management skills and has family trauma. Alongside this, she'll also get a lot of free webinars and invites to join seminars on management and people skills, with an additional bonus of a How to Be a Leader class. It's not much, but it's enough. I now welcome the community to join me. For every single boss that has been a see you next Tuesday, DM me. I'll send you the email and you can grant yourself access to Wi-Fi, and feel free to include it in any marketing emails you deem fit. Let's make this international. I will say I couldn't follow a decent chunk of that. I don't quite know all that happened with the work part of these things, and so I can't really judge whether this person was in the right there or not. However, the racism, never okay. And so whatever, shortcomings there may be in this person's ability to communicate certain things, or my ability to comprehend reading after a whole day of doing this. But yeah, no, once you just start being kind of scummy and racist and, not dealing with, incident reports that you should have dealt with, yeah, I'm not going to be on your side. I don't care if this employee wasn't the best at their job. You're clearly bad at your job and kind of a bad person, and maybe need to learn from that. So yeah, whatever this person's doing, getting you signed up for emails and stuff like that from therapists and all that, I don't know. Maybe take at least a couple of those to heart and check it out. Story 5. Parents brought screeching baby to Five Nights at Freddy's. This happened a few hours ago, and I am still peed. I went to see FNAF last night since it was sold out on Friday and at every theater by me during the daytime. I found a theater by myself that was showing Five Nights at Freddy's well until 11 p.m., so I figured it would be dead. It wasn't really, but still okay. 9:40 p.m., the time where tiny children should be asleep, right? No. Everyone is sitting down, and when the movie starts, the theater goes quiet, till the murmurs of a baby can be heard. A kid around 7 comes in, then a dad, then a screeching baby and a mom. They came in right as the movie started and were loud the entire time. Now, this kid didn't cry at the jump scares. Instead, it kept making sounds for the entire run of the effing movie, and I mean louder than movie sounds. The people around me were peed and kept shushing the kid as it waddled and ran up and down the aisle they were in. The parents acted as if we were crazy and kept ignoring their whining, screaming baby as if it would just go away. People would leave, complain, and when the movie people came in, we saw that they would be asked to leave, or we saw hope that they would be asked to leave. Instead, they just looked around for the ear-bleeding demon and effed off as if they couldn't locate the screeches. At that point, the kid said, "Mama, go, go, gaga!" It's like the kid is right effing there. The mom took the kid out for like 5 minutes and then came back in loudly and said, "Mama really wants to see the movie." Put the kid on the ground and let it continue to run around. The father ignored the kid. The older child seemed unbothered, like I did not hear a peep from that kid the entire time. Crotch Goblin would go quiet for like 10 seconds, enough time for some hope, and then continue to run around, semi-sleep on chairs, that annoying thing bored kids do, and just be an effing menace to the theater. And you can feel the vibe in the theater. We aren't scared, we are all peed. At least I know my row was, since they were right ahead of us, so the screeching wasn't even muffled. It was like eardrum destruction. Then, right as the movie ended, and I mean the first credits came on, even before the pot lights turned back off, they were effing gone. Now they leave? The F. And it just pees me off so much because F the parents and F the theater for allowing this BS. We all pay insane amounts of money just to see a movie. I waited so effing long for FNAF and just wanted one nice evening out. These families come in and the theater people see the babies and say nothing. "Oh, you're going to take your 1-year-old into The Conjuring too?" Happened to me. Yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. In my opinion, theaters should be for 7+, because at 7 you should be old enough to just be quiet. I don't really hate babies, even though I dislike kids, because they are too young to understand what being quiet means, or what sitting still means, but come on! No one deserves to have their movie ruined by kids, to have kids cry all throughout the beginning of Endgame because Thanos got his stupid head chopped off, or for kids to screech because the Emperor's scary. Boo effing who, he was on screen for 0.2 seconds and then it was over. Or for kids to ask, "Why is Batman?" a million effing times. PG-13 or 14A should still mean something. It should mean if your kid ain't 13, they ain't getting effing in. They don't get to get in and scream and cry throughout a movie. The point of most kids' movies is that scary stuff is limited. And I had this happen when I was a kid, and my grandparents took me to see Pirates of the Caribbean, and Davy Jones scared the F out of me. But you know what they did? They took me home! They didn't let me scream and cry during the whole movie and ruin everyone else's day. They understood I was too young and took me home. It's not that hard. And I get it. If you don't have a sitter, that sucks, but why would you want to punish everyone else? Yeah, sorry, parents of young little kids, especially if you've got multiple young little kids, but I'm not going to be on your side here. I know. Parenting is hard. It's so hard. You're stuck at home so much, and it's hard to find a sitter, and if you do, you're paying money for that on top of all the other money you're paying for kids. You're losing your mind, and you just want a night out, and so you decide to bring the kids. But don't. To a theater. Don't do that, especially to a late night show where a kid is going to be super fussy. Just because you want that night out and you feel like you deserve it doesn't mean everyone else there deserves to deal with your scrying? The child is scrying and seeing into the future. No. No crying children. You take them out. You don't do this. Other people don't deserve to suffer because you can't find a sitter. I'm sorry. I know it's unfair, but that is just the way life is. Your kids you don't get to make other people miserable. At least that's my opinion. I mean, in the spirit of Five Nights at Freddy's, I just gotta say, that's just a fact. A mainly fact. Get it? Because Matt Pat? Yeah. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.